All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking something that honestly feels like science fiction, but is actually a terrifying reality happening right now. We're going to break down a simulation of a 2026 deepfake financial scam. You see, artificial intelligence has completely flipped the script on fraud, and seniors managing online bank accounts, well, they're standing right on the front lines. Criminals aren't just hacking passwords anymore, they're literally weaponizing our deepest human trust. Picture this. Your grandfather gets this frantic voice memo. And here is the truly chilling part. It sounds exactly like you. We're not talking about some clunky robotic computer voice. We're talking about your precise tone, your breathing patterns, your speech rhythm, and the exact emotional panic you'd have if you were in real danger. Driven entirely by fear. He does exactly what any loving family member would do, right? He authorizes the transfer. Decades of savings, an entire lifetime of hard work just vanish, all before he even realizes the voice on the other end of the line was completely synthetic. It was never actually you. So, that leads us to the million-dollar question. How are these incredibly advanced AI systems bypassing every single traditional security measure we've relied on for decades? Why are the banking protections we trust suddenly failing us so spectacularly? Section 1. The amygdala hijack. To really get what's happening here, we have to look past the tech for a second and look at the cognitive science. We need to understand why seniors are the primary targets and exactly how their minds are being manipulated. 15 seconds. That's literally all it takes now. Scammers need less than 15 seconds of clean audio to perfectly clone a voice's texture and age characteristics. Just think about that. A quick clip from a public TikTok, a YouTube video, an Instagram story, or even just a brief voicemail. That's all the ammunition these modern generative AI systems need to build a flawless synthetic identity. And they use that cloned voice to trigger what cognitive scientists call an amygdala hijack. Scammers intentionally engineer panic, isolation, and extreme time pressure. When your brain's emotional alarm system, the amygdala, is triggered because you genuinely think a loved one is in danger, fear just completely overrides logic. That deep emotional attachment totally bypasses your ability to logically analyze the threat or verify who's actually calling. And those traditional security questions, your mother's maiden name, your childhood school, your first pet, they are totally useless now. AI has likely already scraped the answers to those questions from social media posts, public records, obituaries, and genealogy websites. Identity simulation hasn't just improved, it has completely replaced old-school password theft. Which brings us to Section 2. Voice authentication is dead. This perfectly illustrates why the very banking systems built to protect our money are buckling. The whole paradigm of security has entirely shifted beneath our feet. Think about what voice biometrics were actually built for. Banks heavily promoted them as this ultimate bulletproof security measure. But they were designed to stop old threats, like stolen PINs or basic human impersonators. They were never, ever designed to stop the real-time AI voice synthesis, live deepfakes, and compromised liveness detection systems we're facing in 2026. Because criminals only need a synthetic identity to bypass verification, banks are now staring down massive legal liability disputes. Let's look at the law for a second. Under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, specifically Regulation E, banks are typically the ones on the hook for unauthorized transfers, but here's the gray area. If a senior is tricked by AI and willingly authorizes the wire, is it legally an unauthorized transfer? This loophole in consumer protections is creating a massive crisis in financial fraud liability policies. Who exactly pays when the banking system itself gets fooled? Section 3. Analog shields for families. So the big question is, how do we actually protect generational wealth when digital identity can be simulated so perfectly? If we can't trust our digital defenses, what is left? The fix is actually shockingly low-tech. We have to rely on analog human behavior. It starts with establishing a strict family verification code word, or even a secret sentence. But this protocol is absolutely vital. It must never, ever be shared digitally. Don't post it online, don't text it casually, and definitely don't store it in an Apple or Google Cloud note. If someone calls claiming an emergency, you ask for the code word. If they don't know it, you hang up. Period. We have to purposefully shift our mindset away from digital convenience and move toward analog offline protection. Instead of relying on vulnerable voice verification, we need to use physical hardware security keys that you actually have to hold in your hand. We need to proactively set up 24-hour delayed authorizations on large financial transfers and require physical branch confirmation for high-value moves. We literally have to slow the systems down. Section 4, reporting procedures and legal steps. Because, let's face it, preparation is only half the battle. If you or your parents do fall victim to a deepfake scam, you need to know exactly what legal and reporting frameworks to activate, and you need to do it immediately. First off, and this is so important, we have to ditch the stigma. Victims should never, ever feel embarrassed. They were manipulated by advanced psychological AI specifically engineered to exploit human love. These are highly sophisticated crimes. Acknowledging that fact is the very first step to fighting back, both legally and emotionally. If a scam happens, you have to move fast. Immediately follow these 4 steps. Contact the bank right away to freeze the wire and try for a transaction reversal. Report the cybercrime to local law enforcement. Crucially, preserve all audio, messages, and screenshots for the legal disputes that will inevitably follow. And finally, notify your family members right away because scammers love to target multiple relatives at the exact same time. To truly shield your family, you need to use the law to your advantage before an attack even happens. Designate a trusted financial contact with your bank. Talk to legal professionals about a financial power of attorney to establish clear oversight. And get familiar with actual legislation, like the Federal Elder Abuse Prevention and Prosecution Act, or your state's specific Adult Protective Services statutes. These laws often contain specific provisions designed to help recover funds when seniors are targeted by these exact types of deceptive practices. Section 5. The future of verification. Looking ahead, we have to admit that these threats are evolving way faster than public awareness. The digital landscape is shifting under our feet every single day. We're hurtling from the old days of stolen passwords straight through our current era of cloned audio and right into a future of live conversational AI, real-time facial deepfakes, and autonomous scam bots. Very soon, seeing and hearing will simply no longer mean believing. Which leaves us with one critical, lasting takeaway. Verification becomes more important than recognition. The future of security isn't going to depend on complex passwords or fancy biometrics. It's going to depend on human patience. In a world where criminals can perfectly wear the faces and voices of the people you love most, will you have the courage to pause, verify, and conquer the fear?